I'm not a Kai Cenat hater, and I'm also not a Kai Cenat fanatic. With that being said, I feel like it's safe for me to say the Kai Cenat hate is forced. And let me explain to you why. Before I do that though, we have to lay out specifically why there is Kai Cenat hate. Well, it's because people are saying that he's performative. So why do people attribute that to Kai? Let's now lay down the groundwork for the current situation at hand, okay? And I'll explain it in a way like you just heard of Kai Cenat for the first time. I'll basically spoon feed you the whole situation. And bear with me because I'm not really in this whole streaming scene. I guess you would call me Ankh. For the past half decade, he's been a popular face you'd see like everywhere. It's safe to say he is a very notable creator. And amidst all that notoriety, he's recently started venturing out into another industry, which is the fashion industry. For what appears to be the latter half of last year, he's been working on his own personal clothing brand called Vivette, which a lot of people appear to be clowning the hell out of. But why is everyone doing it? Well, let's talk about the very nature of what Kai Cenat is trying to accomplish. He dropped a video on his main YouTube channel, Kai Cenat. It was basically documenting his whole come up for the brand Vivette. Essentially, it showed the behind the scenes of the process for what it takes to make a clothing brand. It showed him collaborating with a bunch of people. Like he would go to Italy to understand how shoes were made, or he would go somewhere else to understand sewing, understand textiles, all this other stuff. Like he was committed. In this video, he also explained his thought process as to why he's branching off from streaming. It boils down to him wanting to expand his creativity more. Like he didn't want to be boxed in anymore. He didn't want to be labeled as just a streamer, a content creator. So you would look at all this, like if you were a new viewer of Kai Cenat, you'd be like, okay, wow, this is good for him. What's the big idea? Why is everyone hating on him? After much thought and consideration, I pinpointed it down to three things. One, they are speculative of his legitimacy and his commitment to fashion in general. You know, there's a stereotype where it can be very competitive and brutal in this industry. And I think that's where a lot of people are linking that to Kai. They're not taking his seriousness seriously. They're believing that he's not seeing the full picture, or he's not really understanding what he's trying to dive into. Overall, they're just downplaying his commitment to the goal. Number two, his documentation. If you haven't seen it already, I've been seeing it all over TikTok. There has been so many clips that have gone viral of Kai Cenat documenting himself and looking really performative because of those. I think that's where the main issue is for him being performative, is because of those things. If he didn't document the process so much, I think people wouldn't care so much, but it's the videos that are really hijacking this thing. But these videos are so funny, bro. There's clips of him reacting to a first listen of Frank Ocean. Like the Blonde album. I'm not saying you had to listen to Blonde when it first dropped. It doesn't mean that we need to make fun of people listening to things for the first time. But damn, is it so funny seeing the people like roast him in the comments. It's hilarious because I really feel like this is a case where he sets himself up. All that meaning to say, there's so much documentation of him that he does himself. He has a secret channel on YouTube called Kai's Mind, and in there he posts low quality videos of him doing random things for his own self-improvement and betterment. And the content kind of reminds me of old YouTube, where people would just post anything about whatever it is they're doing. Multiple videos of him just talking to the camera, and the title would be Why You Shouldn't Doubt Yourself, like something like that. Those are quick videos, like 5 minutes, 3 minutes long, super low production videos. So some people would look at this channel and they'd see that this is a video diary. However, other people would see a gold mine for meme potential. I don't blame them. Remember I mentioned he made a video of him reacting to Blonde? Well, in another video of him working out in his home gym with his trainer, the entire video is basically like showing his whole routine for that day at least. I don't know if he did this for the whole session, but there's a clip of him on the treadmill like jogging to Blonde. Like it wasn't one of the faster tempo songs. It was one of those slow ones, like the ones that you cry to. Fashion show footage on the TV in front of him, listening to Blonde. And I won't lie, I probably have a clip of that favorited on TikTok because that was hilarious when I first saw him. Anyways, the second point is his documentation comes off as attention seeking, shouting to the world, hey, I'm doing this new thing. It can sometimes come off in a way where it doesn't feel authentic. It just feels like he's grabbing the trendiest things ever to see what sticks. Just feels like the intention is to be attention seeking. And then lastly, there's the criticization of just his want for improvement in general. Like he talks about breaking the box that he's in for his creativity. He talks about wanting to articulate himself better, so he reads more and reads it out loud so he can do that. He also does things like journal his thoughts and his goals and to like write it physically so that it can be physically manifested. All these things that aren't taboo or haven't been done before, it's just that Kai is doing it now. And the way he's doing it can come off as really theatrical, like super dramatic. His want, his desire to improve and to know everything about this industry he wants to dive into, highly speculated by everyone, to the point where even him carrying a notebook around looks dramatic, like it looks like a prop. Him reading past the alarms that he set looks dramatic because it looks like he's trying to paint himself as a genius for reading 10 seconds past the clock. It's just that there's nothing inherently wrong with the intention of being better. It's the actions that he's doing. And of course, people on the internet are going to pinpoint this and really magnify the whole thing. And that's what the whole viewpoint is. His actions make the intention look dramatic. So now that we understand the whole appeal, let's get to the thesis of why I made this video. Clearly, there's a lot of evidence pointing to him being performative, but I'm here to tell you why the hate is still forced. You have to understand, when I first made up the idea of this video, I was going to approach it in a way where I was agreeing entirely, wholeheartedly, that Kai Cenat is indeed performative. And maybe he is a little bit. I'm not like waving away everything, but I'm not agreeing entirely that that's all he is. The reason is I started looking and researching more into Kai Cenat and why he decided to pivot in this way. And really, I see someone who means what they're trying to accomplish. So let me explain to you why I think that. And for me to do that, I'm going to review the 3 previous statements that I made. 1, people don't believe in his legitimacy and commitment to the fashion industry. Well, I will have to say that Kai is committed. In that mini documentary that he posted on his main channel, he's literally out there in different cities, different countries, interacting and collaborating with notable people within the industry. And on top of that, he's collaborating with someone who's really high profile, and it's in the video itself. If you guys don't know who La Roche is, he is a huge name in the fashion industry. In fact, he's made a nickname for himself as the image architect. Now that's a name that has legitimacy in his field. He's collabed with Zendaya, he's collabed with Ariana Grande, Celine Dion. And we've all seen Zendaya in her early years in Shake It Up. So just the fact that Kai Cenat is reaching out to people like La Roche, that shows that he has a keen eye for mentorship. To me, that's a sign of commitment right there, just going to the right people and being humble enough to ask for so much advice from every aspect of the industry that you're trying to learn. 2, his documentation on his secret channel feels inauthentic. The majority of videos that he posts on that channel have low quality. It's even stated that he used a 3DS. A lot of people would use this point in their argument as to why he's being performative. People would be like, bro, we know you have like better camera quality. Why are you being so performative so that it looks like you came from nothing? Literally on the first video of his secret channel, he says at the end of this 41-second video, he clearly states,
the reason why I'm using a weird camera like this is I just want to show y'all that putting out content, you don't need the best thing in the world. So, bye.
It's literally in the first video of the channel. So with that context in there, it really changed how I looked at the whole channel. And I'm not excusing the reality that the truth is he has a huge advantage compared to other people that really don't have anything. If someone were to attempt to document their business ventures with a 3DS, they're not going to get nearly the same results as Kai Cenat did. At the same time, I see where he's coming from, and I think the intention is that you need to start. Don't wait. What it feels like to me is that people are really honing in and making fun of his documentation because it's Kai. He's a bigger name with a bigger commitment that he's claiming to do. Of course, people are going to be magnifying the hell out of this whole process. There is going to be criticism no matter what, because it's just not what we expect from him. Kai is known for entertaining other people. He's been doing it for 5 years. He isn't known for creating something like a clothing brand and documenting it. Which then ties into my final point, that being his actions are dramatic and theatrical. He wants to improve his health, so he records himself doing a gym session. He wants to improve his articulation, so he records himself reading. Nothing wrong with that, but to be fair, not everything that he posts needs to be posted. But at the same time, we have to ask ourselves, is he doing all of that for us? And when you kind of look at it in that way, you get to see another viewpoint, which is that he's posting this probably mostly for himself. He could be using the second channel as a diary, an internet diary that we all get to see. What if he wants everything documented in this way so that he can see where he was at this particular point? What if he literally does not care that he's making content for himself and not for us for once? Because you have to think of it, he's been streaming for us for the past 5 years. When you look at it like that, you kind of go a little bit easier on him. To add on top of that point, there was other clips of him, saying his favorite books and his favorite songs. Like, he's saying the most basic and generic answers for these questions. But when you look at those clips in that viewpoint where, what if he's not saying it for us, he's saying it for himself? Like, he genuinely likes those things. He's not saying those to be performative for the sake of being performative. What if he's just saying that because he really likes those books, or he really likes Viva La Vida by Cosplay? Like, to me, it feels like he's starting to get into that world, like into that mindset of improving, and he's just discovering things that are already well known to everybody else, to the general public. He's just discovering them for the first time. It adds a whole new viewpoint to everything. So even though I said all of that in defense of Kai, I think he still gets some things wrong. He doesn't need to show everything. Maybe just the important things, like him going out to another city and learning how to sew, learning how shoes are made. That was important. That was really cool to see. Regardless, not everything needs to be shown. Save some intrigue for the actual product when it releases, Sometimes the best way for people going into a new field that they're totally new in is to just prove people wrong with the perfected, like the best version of the product that you promised us. Me being a music artist, I don't like approaching the release of new music without having something to back things up. Like, I hate hyping things and drawing out things for so long, especially if I don't have anything. If I only have a snippet, I'm not going to show anyone anything. The only thing I want to show is the completed product and maybe some important stuff behind the scenes. I'm not going to show me at the whiteboard like brainstorming ideas for a music video. I'm showing the main ingredients, the meal. And I think this clip of A$AP Rocky explains it perfectly.
My advice for young Kai is this, right? Like, don't let us see the Picasso before it's finished.
Super simple, but like really, really hits home. Prove your legitimacy and your skills through the product itself, like the best version of the product, in a way that will inadvertently tell us that you committed to this and put everything you had into that. Even if it's a mediocre or average product, it's better than you hyping something up so much and it still turns out to be a bad product. But I may be biased coming from a creator mindset myself. Okay, my thoughts on this whole thing. Kai is genuine, but the approach is corny. And you can be genuine and corny at the same time. But corny doesn't necessarily need to be performative. I think he means exactly what he sets out to do. But I believe he just happens to get more criticism because of his name, his status, the reputation he's made, and quite honestly, the audience that he's garnered. Like, if we're being real, for 5 years, he's been gathering an audience that only expects entertainment from him, streaming and like low-key, low productive content from him. Like I said, I've never really watched Kai like that, but I always see him just doing some crazy stuff in his room, like being loud and like hooting and hollering. That's all I see from him. So naturally, when Kai wants to step away from that and wants to pivot and be extremely productive and just like improving on himself, there will be some people from the audience that are used to him not doing that to make fun of him. With that being said, as an outsider looking in, I'm not excusing him for everything that he's done. There are some things that I think do come off as performative. Maybe they are, but at least he's doing something out of it, and he's approaching something that he says is a fulfilling creative thing for him. And as a creative myself, I have to commend him for that and just appreciate the journey and effort that he's doing. Because in a way, I'm like Kai. I'm trying to pursue something that I'm in no way near established in. So I have to recognize and encourage the audacity of it all. Sometimes it's better to genuinely move in silence, but it's different for every other case. Maybe Kai is doing this to prove a point. Maybe it helps with promotion and publicity, or maybe he genuinely is performative. Either way, we're all too quick to judge a man that is trying to push himself past the box that he claims he's in. So as a creative myself, I recognize the journey, I wish him the best, and I really hope that he means everything that he says. The memes are so funny though.